is not for business. It's a sacred offering. Number one, for the immediate welfare of the priest. And he gave us 10% for achieving that. Number two, for the welfare of the widows, the orphans, and the strangers. So it is the responsibility of church to take care of widows that are widows indeed, to take care of orphans, and to take care of strangers. So a church that is not taking responsibility for widows, orphans, and strangers don't have the right to receive tithe. This is why God has not abolished it. Because the Bible says the poor you always have. If tithing is abolished, how will widows be taken care of? How will orphans be taken care of? How will strangers be taken care of? So those people who stand up and say, in the New Testament, we are not supposed to tithe, they don't have understanding of divine administration. When you want to take care of orphans and widows and strangers, will you be taking seed for that? No. There is a structured system for doing that. So why tithing is not a law that if you don't obey, you will be cursed or the devil will attack you, it is still a principle that we practice. Because in addition to the fact that it means consecration, worship, honor, there is an administration to it. The welfare of the priest is tied to it. The welfare of widows, orphans, and strangers is tied to it. And that's not all. There is yet another administration to the tithing. The last administration to the tithing is in Deuteronomy 12:11-17. That's a long read. I can't read it. It's for the running of the entire church. So when we have a program, the Bible said we should bring our tithe to the house of God. It said, let the animals be killed and slaughtered, and let everybody eat from it. So there is food. And that's why I said, you bring all the tithe to the house of God that there might be food. And you know, food in the New Testament is not just turkey and okoroko. Those of you who love stockfish in soup, that's not all there is about food in the New Testament. The word I'm preaching to you is food. How will you hear it if there's no microphone? So most of the things that are bought, this is part of the resources used for it. How will you go for missions to provide the word of God to the nations? It's by tithing. And then when we have programs, where will the money come from? It's from tithing. So God allowed it because there's an administrative aspect to it. And it will shock you that in most cases, the money is not even enough. That's why people who sit down and say they run church with tithe and offering, start one. If God doesn't show you mercy, you will be stranded. See, God did these things to build integrity in us, to build transparency and accountability in us, so that our character and righteousness can be built up. But I can tell you, 90% of the administration of the church is already bigger than the tithe and offering. That is why God moves people from time to time to give. And that's why I said, if you are a minister of God, don't put yourself under pressure. Follow God. The ones that the administration cannot handle, God will move men. He said, your sons and daughters will come from afar. Strangers will stand to build your walls. Most times, the money we use to run what we run here, it comes from people who have never come here to worship. There are many people who call you from different parts of the world and say, God is leading me to sow a seed. Even they don't know why. It's because the tithe is not enough. But you must do it because it shows your sincerity and integrity before God. But it's good to understand it. And I assure you, many churches are doing it. My preaching it is not an attempt to show that they are not doing it. Many are doing it according to the ordinances of God. So this is why we still engage tithing in the New Testament. It has its place.